Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with the man, myth, the legend, and someone who's helped me several times, Mr. Stephen Dow. How you doing, sir?
Again, doing fantastic. Good thing I got plenty of energy because yeah, we got a lot of interest, especially with the rate move.
Yeah.
Everybody, I mean,
50,
significant
40,
uptick
10.
in interest.
Yeah.
50, 40, 10, or where your rate's at, because on the conventional side, it's gone up so much that
Oh, yeah. This week's
with the
been
title window,
wild.
they can't qualify anymore. Right. And so then I'm stated income. So you can qualify. It's just whether or not you want to pay the freight. So
Yeah.
and you can buy down the rate. And I think with the topic of this channel or this video, and before we start, although I work very happily for Velocity Mortgage Capital, all the ideas and topics discussed on this channel, that of my own. So as far as the other levers we can pull because of the move in rates, 10-year IO, in addition to the 50, 40, 10. So when I start hitting people with all these different options for them, they're like, oh my God, what? So, 30-year fixed money, also that 50, 40, 10, so that we can maybe sometimes allocate more of the weight on the second.
On the seller.
And usually the terms are right on the seller side, which is typically better terms. And then, of course, on top of that, adding interest-only payment option for the first 10 years as well on my loan, which would really help out as far as cash flowing and making sense on certain transactions where if you structure it right and the seller is willing to pay ball, it's a win-win for everybody. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's, again, the beauty of my channel, right? We have a playlist that goes back now, I think, over a year. We've talked about your 30-year product.
April of last year, but who's counting?
Yeah, who's counting? Where we talked about 10-year IO and then it, fully amortizes over the last 20 years. We've talked about it many times, fixed the full term. People go back and watch some of our early videos. You can almost see my face going, ooh, not really sure that works for me, right?
Right.
Which is always how I deal with it, right? I talk about what would work for me. As we've seen conventional rates just skyrocket this week, now over 7%, according to Matt, the mortgage guy. I'm like, you know what? I get it now, right? There is a time, right? I've been in this game 20 some odd years. There are environments where you just want to build in margin of safety. And I think a product where you fix the rate for the full term, this is a key, right? This is not 10-year IO with float.
Right. Or balloon or an adjustable.
No bueno. Not good. Don't go there. No bueno. But your product's not that. It's fixed for it's fixed for 30 years. Right. IO for 10.
The payment option, if you want it, is for the first 10 years. And so, if you need the, payment relief and you got to fall back on the interest only payment, you have that option for the first 10 years. Yeah. Now, if during that time things start to get better, as we hopefully everything should be, and then at that point you can either continue to pay interest only or pay a little bit more towards principal, or even more so to get caught up, and even more so to where you can actually reduce the principal at least 20% per year without triggering your prepayment penalty. So with this option, it really gives you a lot of flexibility, like a pick a payment kind of option when things are kind of tight, go back on interest only. When things are really, really good, go to fully amortized, if not better.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things because again, I always have to be, authentic to myself. This is not permission to do an alligator. This is not permission. No alligators ever. It's the only picture in my first book. No alligators. But it is permission to increase your margin of safety. We are entering 2023. I don't feel very good about. If you wanted to have extra margin of safety and have the lowest payment possible, I get it. I might even do it on the next deal.
Right.
But again, I want you to have cash flow day one, full payment. Then if you want to save the 150 or 200 bucks is real spendable cash flow, have that go in the sidelines as extra. Maybe you pay it off once every 6 months. It's a way to increase margin of safety. It is not permission to do a bad deal.
Agreed. Where you're looking at your big picture numbers, basing them on just that short period of time with the interest only payment option. So it's just the flexibility of giving you that, if you need it, but just like with anything, it's just a tool, on again, I think with just the scratching the surface of what I would think as far as the specific scenario where that would be useful is just, when you need payment relief initially, when properties might need to be, restabilized, rehab a little bit and get new tenants.
You bought under rented, you need a year to turn tenants. I get it.
Right. Yeah. So you get a little bit of, payment relief, a little bit of flexibility at that time. And then when things get back to where you're planning it, just go back, as planned, and or, a little bit more. So like you said, it gives you that extra safety net if something should happen, like an insurance policy. But if not, you don't have to pay the interest only payment. Just keep paying the fully amortized. So
yeah,
agreed.
There's two more things that I really like about this. One is it's fixed. The interest rate's fixed for all 30 years.
Correct.
That is a must for me.
Right.
You know, as you know, having done loans with me last year, I spent time getting commercial properties out of variable rate debt
Short-term money. Right.
It's just 5 years is short term. Let's be very clear, right? 7 years short term in my world.
Right.
One of my most stressful days was going in and trying to deal with a 5-year loan that reset at just the worst time ever.
Right.
Thankfully, it worked out, but man, I was nervous. I was like, I don't have a plan B. What the hell?
Right.
So the other thing again, fixed for the full term, because again, for me, it's always about downside risk.
Right.
For me, when you lock in full 30 years, you've controlled the downside. You can calculate today what your payment will be. Awesome. The second thing I've said here, but I want people to hear me, the minimum I would go for is 10 years. Like if your product was fixed for 5 years, it would not be enough. Dude, I have no idea what rates. Inflation could be a problem in 5 years. I'm not saying it will be a problem. I'm saying it could be a problem. So I want 10 years. I want to get past, I want to be into 2030 before I have to worry about it. Because again, you know, if rates do come down, because I think everybody believes, I think even the Fed believes we will get back to mortgage rates sub 6, probably sub 5.
Right.
You know, if it happens in
not
year
if,
5,
but just when. Yeah.
Year 5, year 7, then you refi. Fine. But I want 10 years. So the fact that this was 10 years feels better to me as well.
Well, yeah, again, I think like you were saying, going back to some of those videos last year, it just wasn't the right time. And in this environment, you know, this is the right tool to be utilized. It's like the 50-40-10 wasn't going to be relevant last year because what seller would be like,
yeah, and I don't want,
I'm going to carry. No. Yeah. So
you're right.
Just as time goes, think, you know, because it's just like, oh, you didn't need to have that, you know, heavy overcoat, you know, when it's summer. Yeah. Now it's winter. Now I need to put on that coat. So that's basically what that is.
You know what? You're absolutely right. A year ago, I didn't appreciate that the 10-year IO is a tool. I left the tool on the desk and I said I didn't need that. And I might have even poo-pooed it harder than that. I haven't watched it. So I said like that tool sucks. Yeah. So, well, I learned my lesson. It's a tool now that I will pick up and put on my belt. Because again, I want people to hear me. This is not permission to do a bad deal. This is not permission to do a negative cash flow. This is permission just to increase margin of safety a little bit. That's all it is. So I will put the tool on my tool belt. You're right about the 50-40-10, right? It might be something that I even deploy. If I get one of these $1 million houses to sign up for it and they want to do, you know, 35, you know, whatever it is, 55.
However 10. You want to move around that, like, you know, needle to make sure that everybody feels comfortable with that transaction as to what they're going to be getting from
it. Could be a very helpful tool. So again, I now pick it up and put it on my belt. I don't think it's for everyone in every situation, but we are heading into an environment where the 30-year fixed conventional loans now over 7. There will be lots of sellers who need to sell that you can maybe organize seller financing deal that works. I will now pick up the tool. I will apologize for my face and say, hey, I might need that tool someday. So I picked it up, Steven. I'm sorry. I learned my lesson.
Well, again, I mean, you know, the strategy that served you, you know, fine up to this point is, you know, all we were doing with your long-term, you know, with your commercial stuff, putting them into long-term 30-year fixed money. I don't want to, you know, keep repeating the rate because that'll just sound like
that's just me.
It was really, really low.
It was good.
Yeah, it'd be very, very mean, especially in this environment right now. But we try to tell everybody. We did. Know, some people listen. Yeah. So, but yeah. Other than that, it's with this kind of like flexibility with the, you know, option to go as high as a 90% CLTV, it's really helped out a lot of situations because we've had to kind of think outside the box when things went a little sideways, but we were able to save some deals just for that fact, as far as being able to move around the financing a little bit. So other than that, remember to send me an email to sdao@velocitymortgage.com. In the subject line, just put the acronym ORAAT for one rental at a time. Body of the email, brief description of maybe what you're looking for if you do know. Otherwise, address would be great. City and state would also help. Just to make sure we lend there. Mid-FICO score. And then the best phone number to reach at. And I'll typically be in touch within 48 hours.
You got it, buddy. Thanks again.
Thanks, man.